Too soon. Let's try that again. Hello and welcome to Total Male Introspective. Guys, first episode, we're very excited to bring you a little bit of current events, a little bit of hot topics, a little bit of conversation. I'm Joe.
I'm JC.
Jonesy, what's up?
We're your hosts for this hour-long-ish adventure through us discussing things that we've wanted to discuss with everybody. But Facebook and Instagram and whatnot doesn't really give you the best medium because everybody just fights with you.
Oh my God.
Here we'll give you a chance to discuss with us. We'll bring you into the feed. We'll respond to your comments the best we can. We'll try to keep up and pretty much just get down to business and having a good time because we do want to enjoy ourselves here. We'd like you to enjoy the show as well, and also cover topics that you might be seeing, but maybe not hearing your version or your opinion, and maybe one of us will bring that to the table. But be prepared because all three of us usually have a different opinion. Exactly. Which is why we started the show. Jonesy, why did we start this show?
Well, who are we, first of all? We're guys from White Plains, and we basically have a group chat, and we have a WhatsApp chat that we shoot ideas about politics and social things going on and other various different topics, sports, and we don't always agree, which is something that we've always kind of had. I'm more of a liberal. Joe, you're more of a conservative, but
I'm a libertarian, like
libertarian.
And I am the moderate who plays the devil's advocate on both sides.
Yeah, so we kind of we created this because we wanted to show people how you can still have a conversation without canceling them or blocking them or deleting them from your life, because that's a lot of what's going on.
Wait, Jonesy, you mean to tell me if I don't agree that I don't have to unfriend you now? Because I've seen plenty of those posts. JC, unfriend me now, bro. Unfriend me now.
Honestly, to everyone who's watching or listening to this, I am really sorry for unfriending you. I did it with the best intentions, but I've learned that, you shouldn't cancel people just for having a different opinion than you.
It does depend on there are certain opinions that aren't that debatable, though. Like there's like a line in the sand for certain extremes, but.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because if we have to have a debate on racism, then yeah, you're gonna get unfriended. Sorry.
Right, but maybe not the debate on how certain things are handled by a specific situation that involve police or removal of statues that aren't Confederate. Those are debatable situations. Flat out accepting racism is not debatable, right?
Right, yeah. But racism is a really tough topic right now because sometimes people don't even understand their own racism or how racism even affects their life, or especially those who don't experience racism every single day.
But for those people who are racist and who are anti-racist, if you want to give me all your dead presidents who had slaves at some point, feel free to donate my way. Okay, my Venmo is JC Williams.
I heard Ben Franklin was the most racist out of all of them, and I will gladly take them off your hands.
Really? I'm more of a I've been really down on Woodrow Wilson lately. Yeah. He's been one of the ones that I've been targeting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for anyone who's going to give us their racist money, I swear I'm going to donate the money to the United Negro Fund, because I'm going to unite with some Negroes and we're going to have fun. All right.
Oh yeah.
But not specific only to black folks, because then it would be racist.
Right.
equal opportunity money spending here at my podcast. We'll spend your money equally. We actually should have set up a Patreon, which we guess we'll do for next time, so people can throw us a few bucks, and not in the name of racism, and just like what we're giving them, like the product that we're sending out.
Yeah. So a couple of things that I just saw come in. So I guess what's happening right now is the fact that the MLB is finally back. You know, they agreed. So we're gonna have 60 days of baseball, or 60 games. I'm sorry,
60 games.
That should be, yeah. So as long as they report back July 1st, we're good to go.
Yeah, go Yankees.
Does that mean there'll be a Mr. December this year in the playoffs?
Oh man, thank God Derek Jeter's not around anymore. And then we're gonna try to keep the show as PG as possible, but also Mia Khalifa's trending on Twitter right now, and I'm not going to dig too deep into that right now, but just so you know, she's trending. So
she trends often for someone who hasn't been in that business for a very long period of time. She ends up still making headlines. Good for her.
Yeah, especially the former.
Yeah, what?
Especially the former.
Yeah. So, Jonesy, you had a topic list. Why don't we dive into some topics?
Yeah, I think we hit. One of them. We hit one of them just kind of talking and shooting the breeze. But I think, conversing with people that have different ideas of your own is something that's really pressing right now. Especially on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And how you can kind of talk to people. Because one of the things I hate and one of the things I don't allow on my own feed whenever I post something is if you have a different idea than somebody who's posting on my feed, to really kind of keep it civil as possible, without using any negative words or character assassination. It's really important to do that, because what it does is it allows a back and forth. It allows a conversation rather than just trying to attack the other person. Even though sometimes you feel attacked by what they're saying, that fight or flight, implicit bias really kicks in there. But we want to make sure we keep it as civil as possible. You hate it when you say you want to use curse words or use innuendos to try to make your point. It puts a bad taste in another person's mouth, and what it does is you get pushback rather than inviting a conversation. What do you guys think?
I agree. I mean, I was just saying before, it was happening when right before we went on the air, I was having a cordial conversation with a few people at disagreeing. Some people were agreeing. We were all in different sections of the argument. And someone who hadn't even been involved in a 15 comment back and forth popped in and just started calling everyone names, and then the middle finger emoji and screw you guys, forget you, you're such idiots. Like that is a perfect example of what not to do. If you don't agree with someone and you want to bring an adult conversation to the mix, then do so. But jumping in and just calling people names because they don't agree and then saying bye and leaving, I said, go back to daycare because the adults were talking, because it's what was happening. We had a disagreement that was being discussed, sharing viewpoints, coming in and just yelling names and throwing up middle fingers is the complete opposite of constructive.
Right.
So yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, I think what people end up doing is that they don't have the vocabulary. They can't comprehend, the overarching concept of having a back and forth. And so therefore they report back to, being a brute and using, swear words or cursing and, trying to get their point by, labeling someone else like a derogatory term, even though they have no background to what the concept, and you're not trying to create any kind of dialogue because you're not well versed, and you're just spewing hatred towards both sides of the argument because someone doesn't agree with you.
I think a good example of this, perfect example, especially for today's current climate, Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. I did get on the All Lives Matter train against where people saying it didn't help the Black Lives Matter cause. But it wasn't until it was explained to me in different ways did I understand it and understand that
You
the
mean
Black
you're
Lives.
not a racist?
What?
I said, you mean you're not a racist?
Come on, if I was racist, I wouldn't be sitting with all the multicolored skins I'm looking at right now on the screen. But what I said was, you guys changed my mind in just having those constructive conversations, in just having those dialogues. Instead of you guys saying, "Oh, Joe's an idiot. I'm not going to talk to him about this." You said, "Oh, do we say save the rainforest? Does that mean we don't want to save all the forests?" And it's little nuanced pieces of information like that in a friendly enough discussion. Well, with you guys, obviously, it's more friendly than some rando on Facebook, but that sort of conversation got me to say, "Oh, you know what? I get it a little bit better now." You know, some other people still, I try to explain it to them, but also I don't want to mansplain or white-splain or woke-splain. I don't even know what it's considered anymore.
I know.
But,
yeah. So oh, sorry. Keep going.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, because this came up in our conversation that we were having together. Matt, who is biracial, his mom is white and his dad is black.
Wait,
and
what?
I think. Oh, you didn't know that?
Just kidding.
You thought that tan that he always has is natural?
Yeah.
So that's who the black guy
get
is at his birthday party. That's who that black guy is at
The best part in the springtime when it's like when it's like 2 or 3 days of sun, they're like, "Oh my God, did you go out in the sun like so much?" I'm like, "No, just walking around, just hanging out. It must be from the sports and coaching." I'm like, "No, it's not."
Genetic.
I mean, you probably just say that just so they don't only give you 70% of your paycheck though.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I was gonna say is that Matt's mom is white and Matt's dad is black. So the best way to kind of explain Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter is the fact that if Matt's dad is dying, right, that doesn't mean he doesn't love his mom. It's just right now his dad is dying, and so we have to care about his dad, but he cares about his entire family. So that's
really terrible analogy though, Jason.
Sorry.
Let's not will that onto anybody. I hope Jonesy Sr. is in good shape.
All right, how about this? How about instead of save the dolphins, it's
there we go.
Save the dolphins, and not like it's not like we don't care about the entire ecosystem out there in the ocean, but just right now the dolphins, they have little 6-ring soda packs around their dolphin noses.
Their cute little dolphin noses.
Yeah. So but yeah, no, I'm really proud of Joe having a conversation with all of us and really take it in and understand, where we're coming from. And, it speaks to how if people are more educated, that they will, come around. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but, people do eventually come around.
And I also think it has a lot to do with meeting in the middle too, is you guys listened to what I had to say and you didn't say you're an idiot. You said, okay, how can we discuss this where we'll meet in the middle somewhere that will gain ground for everybody? Or you know what I mean? Where you guys understood my point of view, but I also got to understand your point of view, and then people changed minds.
I think something that really helps to meet in the middle is understanding where other people are coming from and understanding something that's called implicit bias. And implicit bias basically describes when we have attitudes toward people or associate stereotypes with them without a conscious knowledge. So like what creates who you are, and how did you grow up, and the people around you, how your parents raised you, but in addition to how your parents raised you, who your friend group is, and what kind of school you grew up in, and basically who you are as a person affects what your stereotypes and what your biases are going to end up being, that you're not even aware of, that you don't even understand that you have at times. So like a good example of this is, and a lot of this actually comes out when you're in a fight or flight response. So a good example of this is the lady who is in Central Park and tried to call the police on the African-American man who was just bird watching. Okay.
Wait, before you finish this, can we just, before we jump to calling him an African-American, we don't know if his ancestry is from Africa.
You're 100%
So
right.
he might have been Jamaican, he might have been Haitian. So why don't you call him the black man and make sure you capitalize that B, okay? Capital Black.
I got you. So the black man, he was bird watching, and
that wasn't capital B enough.
He wanted to.
The black man, come on.
He was basically, it's just bird watching, and he wanted the lady to, leash the dog. I mean, from what I understand,
wild request, by the way.
Yeah,
wild request.
From what I understand about this lady, and I could be wrong, is that she is not racist. She wanted to do the right thing in all different ways in her conscious mind. But when we're in that fight or flight response, she didn't understand that we go back to those stereotypes and we go back to those biases that kind of run us and run our lives without us even knowing it. And so, a lot of times we have to work through that stuff before we're able to be fully aware of what our biases are.
Yeah, I agree.
I completely agree with you as well, because our biases are really just based on like cultural exposure. So you want to be perceived a certain way, but then when something happens in the moment, to your fight or flight process, you have to work extra hard, to like affect that behavior and being able to like override them. Because what ended up happening in the Central Park was it was this white woman who was being, challenged by a black male to in order to, do the right thing. And she felt that she was above the law, and that for someone to be black to, question her way about her going about her day was offensive to her. And, it really speaks to how her bias has always taught her that, she can do these things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, it was really, unfortunate that it happened, but, he was doing the right thing and she wasn't. And, hopefully this turns out to be a learning experience for her and then for other people as well. To, calling the cops is not necessarily, the right thing to do in certain situations, but just think of how she did it. She like called the cops, and then like, I swear, if we don't have the Academy Awards this year, she would be nominated for maybe the best female actor, because that performance that she put on, let me tell you, was absolute. She had so many different ranges. She was subtle. She was she was meek. I was
shocked.
Just like, oh my God, what's happening? I was just like, should I get some more popcorn? But, and this is all coming on the heels after, several people, mainly minorities, are being like, gunned down, choked out on the streets because of people calling the police over incidents that, probably didn't really need, police help at the time.
It's funny you say that. I'm going to dovetail this to something that I saw on Facebook today in one of the local community groups. Someone said there's a black SUV driving, a black SUV driving erratically, and I just witnessed it hit the guardrail on the way off of the highway and then jump a curb and drive off into Silver Lake. If you don't live in our area, it's a local spot by us. And the question that she asked the people in the community group was, what should I do? And my response was, call the police and tell the police, do you have the license plate number? Yes, I have the license plate number. But her response was, I don't want to call the police on people. Well, there's a certain level where you have to be like, that's a police calling situation. You don't want someone to get hurt. But someone tells you put a leash on your dog, don't call the police. The fact that we have to have this conversation is so 2020.
It's absolutely
Well,
ridiculous.
you know what the other thing that's really crazy about that entire situation was the amount of people who cared more about the dog being choked out than the fact that this like Academy Award nominee is like calling the cops on a man for telling her to do the right thing.
The legal thing,
like,
by the way.
Yeah.
The
Not
legal
even
thing.
telling her, just asking her
Mhm.
nicely.
Can you please that's another thing that drives me crazy is people without their dogs on leashes. I get that your dog may be friendly, but I don't know that. And
Right.
and neither do my kids or my dogs. Say I'm walking my two little runts and that dog comes over to play, but then my dogs react jumpy and then that dog gets like growly. What am I supposed to do with your dog off the leash at that point? Then I have to kick your dog, and I don't want to kick a dog.
No, definitely not.
It doesn't help
That's why you have two
anybody
dogs.
involved. Yeah. Well, my two little dogs don't even equal a full real dog, so. It is quite funny watching a 230-pound man walk two little 15-pound dogs in the middle of the night in my boxers and my wife beater. I'm sure the neighbors get a kick out of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you should just let all of our listeners know that you bought the dogs before you were married, and this is how you ended up getting married.
Well, yeah. Well, no, actually, it was the other way. As I was like, I don't want dogs. I love dogs, but I don't want dogs. And they were like, please, let's have a dog. And I'm like, nope, I'm the one that's gonna have to take care of them. And then the cliched response was, we'll help take care of the dogs. You won't have to do it all by yourself. Guess what? I do it all by myself. 90%. Now that my older daughter's old enough, she helps, but. Yeah. My Father's Day request was for Ashley to walk the dogs in the morning.
Nice.
She was like, I want Cass. She was like, I'm gonna have Cassidy do it. I'm like, no. She does it all the time. My Father's Day request is that you do it. She went too psyched about that.
Oh man! All right, so I'm sorry, Jones. We kind of went on a little rant, but it was.
I think we were still in the implicit bias range.
No, that's fine. I just the other part of this is something that we talk about a lot is facts versus feelings.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes these biases present themselves as facts and they present themselves to be true when they're not necessarily all that 100% true, and that is something that is hard for people to work through. It's really difficult for people to understand because it's it's hard for people to understand what their own biases are. And oh my gosh, we got our first comment here. Sorry, I lost track.
No, I popped it up. Yeah, so you guys, just for the listeners, feel free to comment on our platforms. Right now, we're Facebook and Periscope. YouTube and Instagram kind of didn't function exactly how it was planned, but it's the first episode, so give us some time to grow here. But Alex chimed in and said it's completely irresponsible for a dog owner to have their dog off a leash in public, and not to mention public Central Park.
Yeah, it's not just public; it's like super public because it's like millions of people around there, and a lot of New York City is not really social distancing, and that's why they're having problems. But that's another topic for another day. So, anyways, those facts that we ourselves deem to be really true can be wrong, and we feel them so deeply, and we feel them so in our gut that it's hard for us to even understand where our own biases start and where facts begin.
No, I agree, because a lot of people feel a certain way and they're so gung-ho about their opinion, they almost search out. That's another thing that could piggyback off what you're saying is people search out the information to back up their theories.
Yes.
And this goes back or their way of thinking, which goes back to what we were saying before about listening to other people's point of view, or at least giving them a chance to speak, not just waiting for your turn to talk again. Actually try to absorb.
Yeah, actually absorb what other people are saying so that you can potentially change your mind if you feel like it's necessary at that time. But people aren't even doing that. They're just putting up a wall. They're saying, I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm never going to change my mind on certain things. I mean, there's certain things that we feel that you should, like, racism is one of them, you know, that but how you apply racism and how other people, you know, misapply trying desperately not to be racist, like that video, that celebrity video,
or the bald for BLM when the women went skinhead to fight racism.
Yeah.
Nobody checked that. Nobody checked on that one.
I mean,
for people that don't know,
so funny that all these celebrities, just, you can tell they just don't have a black friend, because all you had to do was ask your black friend and they would have said, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah. The neo-Nazis are known for shaving their heads. That's not a good choice. We're not going to do that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, kind of like circling back on some of the things that you said, you know, we can change implicit bias, you know, with education and exposure. So what, like, people should actively be doing is trying to go out and expose yourself to different, you know, people who don't look like you, people of different socioeconomic statuses, people who are Black, who are white, who are Asian, who are biracial, who are from like another country. And that's the way that we can grow and, you know, change the way that we perceive people. I'm not sure who said it. It may have been W.E.B. Du Bois, but I believe he said that prejudice is a great time saver. You can form opinions without having to get to the facts. And a lot of times that's what people do with these like biases. And, you know, they don't even care about the facts because they just want to be right.
So Peter has chimed in on Facebook saying she may not think she's racist, but the truth comes out when we're in fight or flight. I'm sure she was hoping that he would have backed down before calling the police, which I get. I don't know why she pressed send. I actually watched that video a few times. Like, he told you he wasn't going to leave the situation.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy.
That she even pressed send to call the police is just mind-boggling to me, especially because she knew she was being recorded.
Yeah, and we're just using her as an example to prove, you know, to prove a point. One of the things that everyone kind of has to understand about themselves is that every single person has different biases, you know, on various different topics. So it's not just about racism, but it's also you can have bias. You can be biased against genders. You can be biased against sexual orientation. You know, drug use, anxiety, you know, eating habits, marijuana use, or, you know, different, like, various different topics. So when you understand your own biases, then you can understand where other people are coming from, because you'll understand somebody else's biases. And when you understand their biases, then you can kind of meet in the middle there, because you have that built-in understanding of each other. And I think that's something that the three of us do really well, is that we have a built-in understanding that we're not trying to attack each other, no matter what topic comes up.
Yeah,
you know,
true. Yeah, and it also, with the whole dog thing, I do want to. We'll put racism on the shelf for a second. The dog needs to be on a leash, folks. And don't call the also. How many of these memes? How many people have to be memed for calling the police on people? How many? Like, what was it? A barbecue Karen, and like, who are all these memes that we have?
So many. There's
so many.
Too many.
Yeah,
well, I mean, that's a problem.
I feel really bad for anyone who's named Karen. Like, there's a lot of great Karens out there, especially I know tons of Karens.
Yeah,
most of them are really nice, but damn, you got the short end of the stick with this one.
I actually saw a Facebook comment where someone said, "Who should we?" They said, "All right, so we have the female is Karen, but I also heard that there's an age where it turns into Susan at around 50. It's like Karen." Shit, I think it was Jennifer until 25, and then Karen from 25 to 45, and then Susan, from which
I have an aunt Susan, and she's far from the stereotype. Far.
Wait, so did we just completely skip like Becky? Like,
I think it was Becky, yeah. Karen, Susan. I think it was. You're right. It wasn't Jennifer. I used Jennifer because, I mean, that was an easy target, right? For that situation. But yeah, I think it was Becky, Karen. You're right. Good job, JC.
Thank you.
But the whole end of that was they said, "What do we call the men? What are the male Karens and stuff?" And then some woman goes, "Joe," and I'm like, "No,
No, no, not Joe.
not be that. Do not want it to be that. Please don't make it that."
Yeah.
Oh my! Could you imagine being named Karen right now? You're right, JC. Holy.
Yeah, being named Karen is rough right now, and we fully apologize for that.
I mean, I think we should create a poll for next week where if you were given the choice to change your name from Karen, would you change your name? I mean,
And also maybe the male version of the Karens. We could pull out that as well.
What should be the male version of Karen?
Yes. If anybody wants to chime in on the comments, so we got Marco saying it should be Mike, but I feel there's a lot of Mikes that will not appreciate that.
There's way too many mics. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Mikes.
Man. Hey, well, can you throw up that? Oh boy, can you toss up that from Peter, Chad? That's a good one.
Chad.
I was thinking maybe Conrad.
Conrad.
Yeah.
Oh, it seems that Chad has already been decided upon by everybody. So we've got multiple people chiming in saying Chad. So I guess we don't have to poll it. We have a running poll right now. Thank you for your input, guys. And for those of you listening, any of your comments that pop up in our feed that we deem necessary will pop into the show. So our audience participation highly encouraged.
I think it should be. Honestly, I think it probably should be Richard because of the short version of it. Yes.
Yeah. Funny you say that because my daughter asked me the other day why that's a thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I have no idea.
Ashley,
Ash, honey, you can take this one.
I forgive you about the whole dog walking thing. This Richard, explain.
Take this one. You take this one.
Yeah,
that's funny. So Chad, it is. It looks like Chad is the overwhelming winner. We didn't even have to pull out on the page.
Yeah,
but I feel like we should break it down to where it's like Becky, Karen, Susan. So Chad's like the Becky, or is Chad the Karen?
All right. Well,
Dana chimed in Richard too. Now we got to do the poll.
I got one for Richard. I got a point for Richard.
That's funny. I would like to shout out StreamYard real quick. We don't have to do like a live read or anything. We're not supported by them, but they're supporting us by providing the platform to put this show out to everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
It is awesome. StreamYard is fantastic. It is a fantastic tool, and if you guys are ever thinking of doing a show like this, highly suggested. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. It's so good.
I completely agree with you because we tried out a few different platforms in order to find the right one, and we kept coming back to StreamYard. And at the end of the day, this quality that you're getting from us is all from them. And, we haven't even upgraded to the next level package. And this is all the stuff that we get. We get multiple screen, multiple guests. We get to have strolling messages across the bottom of our screen everywhere. And, big shout out to Joe for making us test out 8 million different podcast platforms. But we're happy with StreamYard.
I'm thorough when it comes to this sort of stuff, if you guys haven't noticed yet.
Yeah, definitely.
So back to what we were talking about. So the Karens, the Chads, the dog walking, the lack of leashes, racism, implicit bias. Jones, I think now would be a good time to circle back to that.
So if you want to understand your own implicit bias and you want to understand where your implicit biases are, there's a great website that everyone can go to. It's implicit.harvard.edu/implicit. You could put that up, and maybe if you want to put it up on the screen, Joe.
Do you want to screen share it, and I'll share your screen, or you want me to do it? I'll do it.
Yeah,
fine.
just go to the website right there.
All right.
So if you've ever taken a quiz on Facebook, which many of us have definitely done, it's very similar to that. It's basically like a short little quiz, and what it'll do is you can create an account, but it also allows you to not to do it without creating an account as well.
I just want to toss out a quick disclaimer, though. because this is not Cambridge Analytica, just so people are aware that you might be taking a test, your data will not be used in order to sway the 2020 election.
No,
Right.
no, not at all. Not in the least bit.
All right, so there's your website, Jonesy. Guide them through it.
Yeah, so if you go to, there's a bunch of different ones. There's implicit health. There's implicit social attitudes. So the implicit social attitudes is the one we've been talking about today. And what it you can register or you can just take it for free. And it goes to harvard.edu. And basically it is a website that allows you to understand your own implicit biases and where your implicit biases are, so that when you have a conversation with people, you can understand, where your ideas lie. And remember, this is stuff that's personal to you, but it's also stuff that that you can do on your own, that nobody else has to know. And you're not even going to realize what kind of stereotypes you have about other people until you really do these kinds of quizzes. It's really helped me.
I went too far. I'm not going to put in my personal information on the show.
No, but it really helps me to understand where my biases are, and how I can have conversations with people that are not necessarily look like me or have the same sexual orientation as me, or even do the same things as me. And, if everybody can understand where their own stereotypes are, then it'll help the world as a whole. So a lot of this racism stuff and a lot of this bias stuff and stereotype stuff really starts with you. It starts with the man in the mirror. It starts with you, and you have to understand your own biases before you can see those biases in other people.
Yeah, and just to add to that, it's funny that you brought these tests up, because, and you'd mentioned before, well, not funny, but it's good that you'd mentioned that. All right, we all grew up. I grew up on Long Island, but then I lived in Westchester for 10 years. You guys grew up here in White Plains and Westchester, so that's a whole different way of living and way of being raised, and schools and just friends and whatnot, than if I grew up in a trailer park in Alabama, or right, or you guys grew up in South Bronx. There's a different that can be different, that these quizzes might actually help people identify those minor differences between, I'm white, but I'm not Alabama, I'm not California, I'm New York, Westchester, Long Island area. So it's different. Yeah, and we got a request to share the website again, so I'm going to bring it back up.
Yeah, can we?
That website is. I got to go all the way back, right?
Implicit.harvard.edu/implicit.
I'll put that up on the banners, actually.
Yeah, you can put it on the banner.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that we should also touch on is that it's never too late to change. So, you may feel one way for a long period of time, but, having open discussions with people, reading articles that, aren't tweets, and from, respectable media outlets, not to say that all media is right, but just, getting various different points of view will help you in your journey to growing and bettering humanity. So just don't look at things as, right or wrong, or looking at things that are, left or right wing, because you are your own adult, or child, if you're listening to this, and you should be able to make your own decisions. One thing that I know is that we're shaped by our upbringings, and so a lot of times, you'll have people who are Republicans because their parents are Republicans and their grandparents are Republican. But then when you ask someone, why are you Republican? What do Republicans stand for? they have no clue. And, you know, they're only voting a certain way or they're being a certain way because this has been passed down to them. And, you know, they didn't take a chance on, you know, creating their own opinion. One big example of that for me, I would think is, not to put it in like a political perspective, but I am a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. I love the Cowboys, but I am from New York. And that is a lot. That causes a lot of problems because people are like, oh, you're from New York, yada, yada, yada. But then my rebuttal always to them is, okay, yeah, I'm from New York, but, you know, I have my own, you know, train of thought and I can make my own decisions because I'm an adult and I don't need mommy or daddy telling me that I should be cheering for the Giants or the Jets. So that brings me to another point, because if you're from New York, you have two teams to like. So what made you choose to like the Jets over the Giants or vice versa? Is it because your parents told you or your grandparents told you, or there might be another reason? But what I'm trying to get to is the fact your friends maybe, yeah. But what I'm trying to get to is the fact that, you know, at some point you have to decide who you want to be. And, you know, I chose to be a Cowboys fan and people hate me for it. And they always bring up how the last time I saw a championship, the Cowboys were on a VHS tape, which is probably true. But you know, what we're encouraging people to do is make your own decisions, figure out and understand why you are biased, and try to overcome them by having conversations with those individuals that you are biased towards.
Yeah, and also, you know, to keep with the sports analogy as well, a lot of times when like I'm a Giants fan, people ask me why I'm a Giants fan. Well, because I'm from New York, and is a reason that I am a Giants fan, because I fell in love with the team and the colors and the history and everything like that.
Yes.
But one of the
just so everybody knows, Jonesy used to be a 49ers fan also. But
yes, but I'm adult and I can make my own choices.
Exactly. There you go.
So I chose a different team. And they happened to have made the Super Bowl last year. That did not change my affiliation with them, with the Giants. But one of the things that people do is they cling on to their ideas, and they cling on to their old ideas as hard and as tough as possible. Like, I'm a Giants fan. I'll never be anything but,
perfect example. This lady chimed in, "Go Cowboys." Now, was she a Cowboys fan when you met, or was she swayed that way?
Oh boy, that's gonna be up to her.
Pretty sure Sarah was an Eagles fan, but you know, we'll save that for another day.
Wow, interconference change? Oh my god! You must have really made her feel good about her. You got a girl who changed to the same conference fandoms. Wow.
Oh, and I named my kid Dallas too. So,
but it's just to continue on. It's kind of very similar, where I'm a Democrat and I've always been a Democrat and I will never change my idea about being a Democrat. Well, why? Why do you like being a Democrat so much? What do you love about them? Is it that you just hate the other guys, which we'll get into the two-party politics and how it's destroying our country another day? But
that's a whole episode.
That is an entire episode. You're right. But, you know, is it just because you feel like Republicans are not your style, so you feel like you have to be a Democrat? I mean, what do you actually think? And that's the biggest thing. What do you actually think? What are your actual ideas?
And that's actually a lot. I think a lot of people get trapped in the party way of thinking, or they will be almost assume the position that they're told they should be, whether it's abortion or the gay rights or you get my point. Like, people have already have a pre-decided opinion before they even read anything on a certain topic or a certain situation, because their party has told them to. Like,
right.
Almost like with COVID-19, for some reason, Fox News decided to tell everybody that it wasn't something to take seriously. So a ton of Republicans went down that alley and stuck with it. And it just seems that it was the decisions were made based on, well, my party told me to think this way, and not, let me take a few minutes to read some stuff and make my own opinion.
And sometimes people get stuck in the fact that they can't change their mind because they feel like they're going to be talked down to, or they feel like they're going to be called a hypocrite. When, newsflash, it's actually okay to change your mind. It's okay to be able to change your mind on
BLM. Hashtag BLM.
So it's totally okay for you to change your mind when you come up to a new idea, when you have new information or a new idea that changes your actual mind. It's okay to change it when you have different information.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely,
highly encourage that. That's what being adult is: taking all the information from this, that, and the other thing, and compiling it to form an opinion or form what your facts are going to be, and understanding that idea and that implicit bias that you have might change based off that information.
Absolutely. Like being a Cowboys fan. You have the information now. You can make an educated. Who the hell am I? I'm a Jets fan, so I'm just trying to keep it going so you guys don't touch on that. So I might as well throw myself under the bus before you do it for me.
Oh man, I just love I just saw that a meme that was just like, people are embarrassed to walk around in public with a mask on, but they're okay with wearing a Jets jersey out in the streets.
I was going to say a Brady jersey because that makes more sense, because you get all those buttheads that are, I'm like, oh, you're a Patriots fan? No, I'm an Eagles fan, but I wear the Brady jersey. Loser.
Because he's the GOAT.
He is the GOAT.
System quarterback. System quarterback.
We'll see if he's a system quarterback now.
Well, Simeon chimed in on the two-party system, agreed on a broken two-party system. And I've actually seen a lot more people agree with this now that they're seeing a second presidential election where it's, what did South Park call it? A turd sandwich and I forget. But first of all, I can't wait for the 2020 episodes of South Park. Let's just get that right off the.
God. They have content for the next 6 years if they want to keep it going.
But I think that after these two elections where, let's be serious, Clinton wasn't the fantastic choice and was forced, and Biden, I think, even like 2016, these are terrible candidates. 2020, hold my beer, hold my beer and let me sniff some hair and I'll be right there. So it's wild because I'm a third party guy, and I think that this election, after the last one and this one, is going to push more people to consider it instead of just accepting what's going on, because I know more people this time than even last time that are like, I don't want to check a box for either one of these people. Mm-hmm. So I think really hard. Go ahead, Jonesy.
I said it's really hard because, again, we go back to, do you actually agree with your own party, or are you just voting to fight the other guy? And if you're voting to fight the other guy, that only works for so long before we have literally the screwed up Senate that we do, and the executive branch and everything else. Which again is gonna, is something that we'll talk about at length on another day. But
I think that was a good promo for next week's episode.
Yeah,
right there.
I think definitely.
I think next week we will cover the broken two-party system. I think that's a good.
Actually, if you watch the Patriot Act this past Sunday was all about that, and it was phenomenal. Highly recommend the Patriot Act by Hassan Minhaj on Netflix.
Perfect example. I don't usually like that show. I don't usually like his commentary. Just like you don't like Tucker Carlson with a passion. But
another day.
But if I found a Tucker Carlson piece that you could like, I'm going to go check this out and watch this episode.
Yeah.
And if there was a piece that I thought you might appreciate, whether or not you like it or not, you would be like, well, screw it. I'll watch it because you said I can sink my teeth into it and I can really absorb a thought. Just because, 99% of the time, Tucker Carlson isn't right to you. There could be a 1% where something he says is legit. So you never know. Yeah. And same thing with Adish. I don't know how to say his name. How do you say his name again? One more time.
Minaj.
Oh, okay.
Hassan Minaj. I'm trying to say it with like the way he says it. I'm trying to say it the way he says it, and
let's just before you say something wrong and we get kicked off air, let's just leave it at Hassan Minaj right now.
And I think it's a good.
Look, it's my niece.
And I think it's hi, Liv. And I think it's a good time for us to call it a show. I think that was a really good first episode to give everyone an idea of what we are trying to do here. Have a little fun, have a little male introspective, except this is not just a show for men. It happens to be hosted by 3 men.
I want everyone to be able to participate, man, woman,
black,
LGBT,
white,
Q, everyone.
Black with a capital B.
Capital B. So thank everyone for tuning in. Thanks for all the questions. Leave some comments, give us some feedback so where we could pick up, and we're looking forward to more episodes for y'all. So
Tuesdays JC,
9 p.m.
There you go.
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every week we're going to bring you guys a fresh dose of commentary on current events, live updates, and maybe we'll find out why Mia Khalifa is trending on Twitter right now.
You have to go and Google that or search it on Twitter yourself.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it PG around here.
Yeah. Okay.
JC wants to say it so bad. He's dying. He wants to say it so bad.
Oh boy.
All right, guys.
All right.
Check us out on all major social media platforms. So that's Facebook at the TMI pod, Facebook.com/the TMI podcast, on Twitter at the TMI podcast, on Instagram at total_male_introspective, and YouTube we're still working on because they were being pains in the ass before. So I just got to fix that link and whatnot and make it work. Yep. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you next time. Total Male Introspective.
See you later.